Hello and happy, beautiful day to you. On today's episode, I want to talk about the importance of confidence and getting rid of insecurity and also the hidden patterns, if you will, that keep people stuck from really creating that change. Because when we think about confidence for a moment, confidence isn't just great for relationships. Of course, confidence is great for relationships, but also for healing, for happiness, for connection, for love, for all of it. Because if you think about the opposite of confidence, the opposite of confidence is what? Insecurity, which is feeling insecure, unsafe. Feeling unsafe can affect your health, your happiness, your life, how much joy you experience. And so for that reason, I wanted to talk about this topic because a lot of times I'll see people who have been working on increasing their confidence in life, where they're trying to bring in feelings of confidence or trying to program themselves, and yet they also simultaneously have sabotage patterns that are keeping them from achieving the level of confidence that they want, and they don't realize it. And it's so common that I'll see people doing this. And let's say somebody's working on bringing feelings of confidence, and they're in a relationship, but simultaneously in this relationship or in life, they have patterns of, let's say, a pattern of getting angry at others. Or let's say a pattern, I've seen women before, where they have this pattern of being so loving and sweet, and then they simultaneously have a pattern of feeling like it's cool to be a diva or salty or attack or stand up for themselves in a way where they're always feeling abrasive in their relationships. They don't have a smooth way to do it. So what happens is this, is they have relationships where they're very loving, and then there's also simultaneously a lot of conflict. Then what happens? It creates a deeper feeling of insecurity inside of them, because as they're in this loving relationship or relationships, and they're in these loving relationships, and then there's constantly some type of conflict or abrasive or a diva or upset or hurt feelings. And by the way, I've seen people do that very thing where sometimes what the issue is they're overly sensitive. They're sensitive about every little thing. And if you think about it, we've even seen that on past podcast episodes where I've worked with people who are experiencing physical pain, and I helped them to understand that it was their level of, they felt sensitive to everything, like easily hurt all of the time. And by the way, if you think about it, if somebody's going through life and they're so easily hurt, and you got to walk on eggshells all of the time, and they're easily hurt, they can definitely push people away. And so that is my point today, is all of the time I'll see people who just, want to bring in confidence, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. Bringing in and programming the mind for confidence is great, but also identifying and really genuinely rewiring negative patterns at a deeper level in the subconscious mind can be key for creating a real transformation. And a simple way to think of it, by the way, is thinking about this, is imagine for a moment if I went to go cook dinner. And so I cook dinner, and I have a habit, by the way, after I cook dinner, of taking the pan off of the stove, dumping it upside down, and then going to sit down to eat. You would say, well, Brandy, eek. It would be like, well, cooking isn't hard necessarily, but this pattern where you dump it on the floor kind of sabotages the whole thing. And of course, if I only did it 50% of the time, I would be frustrated. I would say, okay, well, sometimes relationship or cooking seems to work, and sometimes it's not working so well. And my point is, all of the time, I'll see that happen with people where it's affecting them, it's affecting their life, their happiness, and their relationships. And so I wanted to bring up that insight because it is so common for me to see people get sucked into these patterns, or even not know how to change them, or keep going into the same patterns and beating themselves up over and over and over again. If you think about our last podcast episode with our beautiful volunteer, as we're working on releasing pain, which she started doing is releasing her pain, she noticed that part of what was going on is she was beating herself up for going into the same patterns over and over and over again. And that is so common. And so even as I say this, if you are noticing that maybe you have sabotage patterns in your life, then you'll want to change them. Now, by the way, on a quick note, sometimes they can be very tricky. And this is what I mean, that I call it a sabotage pattern, but sometimes people feel happy to be diva. They go, oh, yes, they're happy to be a diva or salty or attitude or, and they think it's a good quality or a fun quality, and yet they don't see the other side of the coin where it can be damaging to their relationships. Now, by the way, sometimes the word diva does not have to mean attitude and what. So to each their own on interpreting it. I'm just saying some of the experiences can be, and the wording around it or the way it shows up can be counterintuitive, where somebody can see some type of their behavior as being a good thing when it's really sabotaging different areas of their life. And a simple way to think about it is like always standing up for yourself, always standing up for yourself. Now, this is the way I look at it, is, when you're 7 years old, to stand up for yourself is really, really great. But when you're 70, your goal shouldn't have to be to have to stand up for yourself all the time. Instead, it should be to have developed ways of getting respect in life, to you're not always feeling that it's abrasive and you've got to stand up for yourself all of the time. And so I've seen people that, they're 70, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, whatever age. And they go, yeah, I'm standing up for myself. I'm standing up. It's like, well, what would happen if you up-leveled that? And you didn't have to stand up for yourself all the time, but instead you had ways of getting respect in life. And that was your energy, your vibration was harmony, was mutual respect. And it felt that way and feeling that. And there's a way to feeling that. And by the way, this is what happens. If somebody's proud of being a diva, if they're proud of standing up for themselves, if they're proud, it then ends up showing up where they're manifesting, even in harmonious relationships, they're manifesting those circumstances and situations. And by the way, I've seen all the time where people go in and they genuinely change these patterns and their relationships shift. Like they're the same relationship. So I'm not saying you have to leave your partner, your spouse, your family, all of these people, because a lot of times people will feel that way. They feel like my family's not respecting me. I better leave them. But so often when people just change their patterns and the way they're showing up, it can create a change in the relationships that they're currently in. So just food for thought, coming back to the awareness of confidence. There can be layers to it, but creating a real shift in your relationships is good for your health, your happiness, your life. And not only that, but your level of security in self and confidence, and just so many layers, and so much for the enjoyment of this beautiful, beautiful world around us. And so food for thought. And that's today's quick IQ episode, where we talk about insights, questions, and distinctions. And if you are somebody who is working on healing your relationships, I do have a course for that if you'd like. Also, if you're somebody who is working on really understanding mind-body healing and how it works, I also have a free 90-minute training masterclass that is absolutely incredible and will help you understand how this all fits together. So either way, whatever I can do to support you, my biggest goal is that every single person in our world lives a happy, healthy, wonderful, fantastic, loving life. And so that is my biggest hope. And so I ask you, on that note, please do take a quick moment to hit the share button on this episode. Share it with somebody you love, somebody you care about, or somebody you don't even know, because the more that every single person in our world is happy and healthy and loved and loving, the better this world is for all of us. And so please do hit the share button, and please do make a point to have a most wonderful, incredible rest of your day. And I look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. We'll see you there.